Hello, anyone who's out there, and welcome to a late night game stream thing. This is part of a new sub-series of streams I'm going to be doing where I play through the entirety of some games that I actually really enjoy, some of my favorite games of all time. Not necessarily bootleg games for once, which is kind of breaking the mold here, I guess, but I want to. Some of these games I really want to play again, and it seems like streaming them makes the most sense, I guess. Anyway, the subject of tonight's stream and the next few times I do this will be EarthBound, which is probably my favorite RPG. It's definitely my favorite RPG series. It's the only one where I've beaten every game in the series at least once. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to be playing this on the Super NT. So it should look pretty beautiful, I hope. Anyway, without further ado, let's get going. Also, Bailey's here. She might say something, but I don't know if she will. She said something. I don't know if you'll be able to pick her up or not. Anyway, here we are. Nintendo Ape and HAL Laboratories. My mind is on the EarthBound because recently, turn this down a little bit, my sister played through the ending of Mother 3, and what an ending that is. That's one of the greatest and most moving endings of all time. It didn't hit me nearly as hard when I played it, but watching her play through it, I'm like, wow. And it just reminded me of the genius of the Mother/EarthBound series, so I felt compelled to play it. And here we are now. I actually have the Japanese version of this as well, which I began a playthrough on my old live stream a couple years ago that we didn't finish, but we made it pretty far into it. Kind of shows how how obsessed I was with this game, at least for a little while. I could play through the Japanese version basically without any problem, just on memorization alone. Anyway, let's get actually into the game. Start a new file. So I guess the text speed here actually does have an effect on the gameplay, because the faster the text goes, the less time it takes for you to get into your next attack, and we'll see why that's important as we go through this. I'm sure a lot of you have probably actually played EarthBound. I don't think it's the cult classic it was. It's more just a classic now. But either way, I'll sort of be highlighting the things that I really like about it as we go through. This is also the first time I've played it on the Super NT. We're just going with all the defaults for this. There we have it. It's our team. So, EarthBound, I think this is pretty well known, is the sequel to a game called Mother, which got a release on the Wii U officially in English as EarthBound Beginnings. And they're very similar games. EarthBound basically does everything that game did, but better. But I still think that it's worth playing through all three. Personally, my recommendation is EarthBound, Mother 3, then the original game, if you still need more. They all have their high points and their low points. I'd say that the first game is probably the least consistent, with really huge highs and then pretty major lows. I think Mother 3, by contrast, is probably the most consistent, very consistently good. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that game does specifically wrong. I need to play it again, honestly. Which we can do. I actually have a cartridge of that, an English translation of it. Which, interestingly enough, is kind of kind of neat because some of those English translation cartridges don't work. The team that did the translation for it did not want people making cartridges, so they put some copy protection in it in the later patches. So you need an earlier version of it if you actually want to get it running. I don't feel like they probably succeeded all that much. Man, this looks really, really nice. I did have this on Wii U, but it didn't look this good. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I always felt that the Virtual Console versions of games kind of washed everything out. This is also going to be kind of a non-traditional RPG stream. I know most people, when they play through an RPG, like to take the time, talk to everybody, read the dialogue, but I'm not going to really do it that way. I played through this game a ton. I'm going to experience it the way I want to. Also, in relation to EarthBound, another thing that has EarthBound on the brain is Smash Bros. Ultimate, which has, as far as I can tell, every EarthBound stage from previous Smash Bros. Games back, which is hugely cool. It, of course, has every EarthBound character back. There's only 2, but it also adds in a few characters as cameo appearances, which is pretty neat. You've got Ness's Final Smash adding Paula and Pooh, and then Lucas having Kumatora and Boney, which is a little bit sillier, but also just really cool. They thought to add it all. I think Mother 3 came out in 2006, so the series has been effectively dead for 12 years now. Oh my god. Oh, also, this stream's gonna just be chock full of spoilers. So, that's that warning. It's really interesting how the like sort of through line of all 3 games isn't all that direct, I guess. It's kind of a transitive property of storytelling almost. Because the first game stars the same final boss as the second game, as EarthBound. And then the other half of that final boss goes on to be the final boss of Mother 3. Or at least the main antagonist of Mother 3. So drawing like the line between the first one and the third one isn't exactly all that easy, but I think that makes it a more unique series. I might play through the first one again at some point too. I'd say they all kind of hit like a favorite position for different categories. Like the first Mother game is by far my favorite traditional RPG, like Dragon Warrior style. Then Mother 3 is one of my favorite stories. And I guess this is just one of my favorite games. Just kind of above all that. It might not have the best story. It might not even be the best RPG I've ever played, but somehow it kind of... something about the atmosphere and the music. It's all these little things that it does so well that kind of elevate it above other things. It's like more than the sum of its parts, I guess. Probably level up here some. This is actually my second copy of EarthBound that I've ever had. Because my first one died, which was the saddest moment of my life. Then Bailey got me a replacement copy. And since that one kind of had like a messed up label, we were able to use the old cartridge's shell to house the new copy, which is really cool. So it kind of lives on in that sense. Oh, also, this is kind of a fun little thing. The background that I've been using in my videos and I'm currently using on the stream, like I'm sure some people already figured this out, but that's from EarthBound. It's one of the battle backgrounds. There's a battle background generator online, and I used that. I captured the screen, then took that video and changed it into a GIF. Well, I took the video, then I edited it so that it would be a better loop, because it doesn't really loop properly. I don't know exactly how the backgrounds work, but they don't seem to loop correctly. They're kind of unique frames all the time. I don't know if that's they're dynamically created or something, or the animation is dynamic. But so then I made it look like it looped better, at least. Changed that into a GIF, and then that's the background. As far as video ideas that I'm currently working on, I've got this script that I've been writing. It's one of like 3 different scripts currently that I'm kind of developing. This one I feel pretty strongly about, but it doesn't really have any focus to it. It's just kind of like a general video about Sakurai, Masahiro Sakurai of Smash Brothers fame. And oh wait, how do you do that? Okay, let me see if I can pull something off just for a second. It's kind of a bizarre glitch you can do if you can make an enemy appear, where you can lose in a scripted battle that you're supposed to win. Just kind of mess around with it for a second. Oh wait. Okay. Okay, so shoot. The idea is that you get this character who's supposed to do certain set attacks to defeat an upcoming enemy. And if you can drag an enemy along with you so that it doesn't despawn when this character shows up, then you can offset the attack it's supposed to be on, and you can actually lose the fight. But it's probably too complicated to mess with, so I'll just skip that. So yeah, I'm kind of working on this thing about Sakurai, which is just like, like, here is Sakurai. Let me just lay out some general thoughts on the guy, I guess. It's kind of just listening to somebody ramble, but You know, sometimes when people ramble, I've done this a lot on stream. They just kind of jump from this thing to this unrelated thing, so on and so forth. This is more like you're rambling, but it all is following a structure. So I don't know what you'd call it. It's almost a rant, maybe, but not really negative like that. Mostly, I just want to talk about... I've read a lot of his Famitsu columns, and I just think the guy's really fascinating. His approach to things is really unique, and something I don't really see a lot in video games. Like, you got Miyamoto, right, who is all about the simple, fun approach to gaming. Mario is fun because you do the runs and jumps and you jump on the guys, and it's that simple, I guess, to him. But Sakurai is like really interested in having an idea what the pulse, how to put this, having his, what is it, thumb on the pulse of the gaming consciousness. I don't know if that's the expression. It doesn't sound correct. But he, for example, he went to a, shortly after he quit HAL Laboratories, he got a job for a couple days at a game store as a clerk, just to kind of get an impression of what the people who are buying games, what they're like, what they're thinking, what they might be looking for. I think that's a special kind of talent, really. To, even when you're like this talented as Sakurai is, to say, I maybe don't have an entirely full grasp of what people consider fun or what people are looking for. It's kind of, you can't have a big ego, I guess. Which is ironic, because I think a lot of people view him like that. Oh, also, this is one of the few fights in the game that's a full space background effect. A lot of the time it's kind of in this widescreen mode, I guess you'd call it. But for this, and I want to say a couple of the other boss fights, you got the whole background effect. It is the truth, so listen. There's supposed to be a documentary coming out about EarthBound at some point that I was really interested in. I feel like it was announced back in like 2015, and some of the filming was done then. They were able to get interviews with Itoy and a couple other people, but I haven't heard anything about it since. It's by the same people who made EarthBound Saga, which was kind of an early internet short movie series. It's kind of trying to retell the events of the game, but kind of in a satirical or parodic way. But so they stopped doing that, which is probably good, honestly. I don't feel like that kind of content works in a modern context. But then there's this documentary I was really excited for, and I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, here's another interesting thing. This character Buzz, like, they wanted to avoid using the word die or died for some reason, so like the language here is like kind of trying to tiptoe around that for some reason. I want to say they're not fully consistent with that across the game, but I remember reading that they wanted to not use Death or Die or whatever. I guess that's just early Nintendo of America for you. Oh, that's right. We gotta get our picture taken instantaneously. So, another EarthBound thing to think about is we got Star Fox 2 on the SNES Classic. And so with the N64 Classic, I've been kind of thinking, like, what could they bring to it that is like a lost game or something that would really excite people for the N64 Classic? And I have a few ideas. These are very Western-oriented, though, because I feel like this stuff wouldn't really matter to Japanese players, but the first one is EarthBound 64, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that would probably be impossible to pull off. But from there, we got like Zelda Master Quest would be one that would be kind of cool. Not the coolest, because there's a lot of ways to play that at this point. I guess the main one is the GameCube release, but now there's reproductions of it out there. Not the most amazing thing. It's also just really similar. I guess you got the 3DS version, right? It's also just not the most interesting thing because it's so similar to Ocarina of Time. Then a full translation of Animal Crossing 64, Animal Forest. That'd be pretty cool. At least here in America. Another one would be Dojin Giant, which already has a English translation like Animal Crossing that came out in Europe. And that one's not seen a US release. And yeah, I think that's about it. Some of the other ones that would be interesting, like Conquer 12 Tales, are lost forever to time, I'm pretty sure. Like Mario 64 2, I don't think they got barely anything done on that game. And I mean, we know they got a fair amount done on EarthBound 64 because of all the pre-release material and the fact that when they were developing the Game Boy Advance version, they used the N64 version as a reference very heavily. But I don't see them being able to compile it together in a way that would be playable, really. For something like that, I think Nintendo would be... It would be really cool if Nintendo released, like, a Lost Games collection. This will never happen. This is another, like, daydream, but... Taking some of the lost games they have laying around, or whatever. Like, another one would be Dinosaur Planet. That thing that eventually became Star Fox Adventures. It started off as an N64 game that was pretty far into development, I believe. Bailey has a word to say. She suggests, what if Captain N, the Game Master, famous video game cartoon character, got his own game? I think that would be hilarious. Oh, where he traveled through all the unreleased games? That'd be wonderful, using like an obscure character like that. That'd be great. And along those lines too, they could include like the Satellaview stuff, which they've at least officially acknowledged on a couple occasions. I want to say in the Hyrule Historia, they referenced the Zelda Satellaview titles. Like, I don't really know if they can go about releasing those. I don't know. It'd be a challenge, maybe. It's just the fact of the matter is that, at least with Satellaview, that stuff has been available to the public for quite a while now, unofficially. And I think that there's a decent chunk of people who'd be really interested in paying some money to play those. That runs into like licensing stuff though too, with Saint Giga having maybe some rights to the Satellaview brand. I don't know how much how much stake they have in that. Obviously, was the Satellaview costume for Mario Odyssey that came out a couple weeks ago, so it could happen. I think the Zelda games are the big ones, and then there's a few like third-party Satellaview titles that I think are totally lost. But I don't know if Nintendo could really bring those back if they'd have any say in doing something like that. But I would really love to see them compile like a collection of lost games. Put EarthBound Beginnings on there. I don't know. There's plenty more. The rare, like the Dinosaur Planet thing, though, that's another instance where, like, could they really do something like that? Because that was Rare developed. I don't know. I wonder if the situation with Star Fox Adventures is complicated at all. Probably not, I'd guess, since Star Fox is first-party Nintendo. But then that uses all those assets from Dinosaur Planet. I don't even know. I know a lot of people think that Rare isn't necessary for an N64 Mini, but I don't know. I think you'd really be missing out if you had an N64 Mini without Rare titles on it. Like, I feel like Banjo-Kazooie is such an important game retrospectively for that console. And then, of course, like stuff like GoldenEye, I don't think you'd be able to probably do. That's another big one. But GoldenEye, of course, you have two issues of licensing, 2 layers of licensing problems. I think we can go buy one of the bracelets now. To me, that would be as surprising. That'd be incredible. That's what I would love. I would love to see them do something like that. Now if I recall, I think Super Mario 64 2 was actually the one where they were able to get like Luigi in it, like a 2-player thing. That would be amazing. I just don't see them doing it. I think the only reason why Star Fox 2 honestly got released was because so many people knew about it from the ROMs that leaked. So once again, you can thank piracy for motivating Nintendo to take this step. That'd be an interesting video, actually, going through all those instances. Because I feel like EarthBound Beginnings is another example of that. You've got the notorious Super Nintendo release in Russia, where Nintendo asked Steepler Company, one of the largest distributors of pirate games ever, probably, to, hey, can you legitimately sell our Super Nintendo in your country? So I feel like until the Mario 64 2 demo shows up online through some sort of leak, and I think that probably won't happen. I don't think we're going to see it officially released. Another one I'd love to see, though the time has kind of passed, is Super Mario World. Its early demo version is really interesting, heavily based on Mario 3, extremely different than the final product. Exactly. But yeah, speaking of that Super Mario World thing, a really bizarre either Kickstarter or Indiegogo happened a couple months back where a team based out of South America, I want to say, or was it Italy? I think it was Italy, actually, claimed that Nintendo gave them the rights to remake the demo beta of Super Mario World for them to officially release, and they were asking for funding. It was the most bizarre thing. I can't believe people actually backed that, and I hope they all got their money back. As cool as that would be, Nintendo would not just say, yeah, sure, you can make a ROM hack based on our beta and then release it online for emulators. It's just like, ugh. That was a strange one. I don't know, Nintendo's got a pretty big backlog, though, of games. Not even unreleased ones, but ones that were released that could use re-releases. I was pretty sure that Wario Land for Virtual Boy was getting a re-release. There's a rumor going around that the Virtual Boy Wario Land game was getting a 3DS re-release, and that seemed pretty real to me. But I guess that didn't end up being the case, because E3 came and went, and nothing. Oh, I didn't hear about that. Interesting. Sorry about that. Alright. I'd love to see a remake of... Well, I'd like to see like a Wario Land collection. I guess that's the theme of tonight. I want a bunch of collections. Like Wario Land All-Stars. Love the first game. Really love the fourth game. The first one could definitely use some graphical touch-ups that would, I think, add to it quite a bit. And... the fourth one is just a great game that needs a well-done re-release. The emulation on Wii U was pretty good, but still not exactly what I'm looking for. Here's an example of the self-referential humor of EarthBound. I guess that's a high point for a lot of people. I find it cute, but it's not like roll on the floor laughing kind of stuff. In fact, I think this game gets kind of misrepresented with how funny it is. The style of Itoy... Oh man, I got a lot of hamburgers. That's actually kind of uncharacteristic. I wouldn't necessarily call it funny, but it's endearing. Which is... Wow. A lot of sharks. Which is almost better. It's more memorable. Some of the lines from the first game especially are super... like... stick in my brain. Like the Forgotten Man in the Caves of Magicant, where you have to say that you'll forget him for him to ooh, shoot. It would I would buy it. I'd buy EarthBound All Stars. Looks like I need to think a bit more before I act here. No, I am, and I've been saying ever since I saw that Smash Brothers Ultimate footage, Sakurai revived the Kid Icarus series. I would love to see a fourth Earthbound game, but I don't think it's necessary. Just give him, put him on making remakes of the 3 Mother games, using that art style that he developed for Smash Brothers, because it looks great, especially in the new one, and like the Magicant stage in HD, it looks beautiful. I want to play a full game in that world. Give it to Sakurai. I think he could do a lot of great stuff with it. Rework the first one, especially. Kind of redo the battle system and how encounters are done. Make it more like 2 and 3. That'd be incredible. And I think it'd look a lot better, too, Mother 3 in a 3D style like that than the original N64 version probably would have. Oh boy. Oh, and the music in Smash Brothers for Earthbound is also great. Like, hearing some of these songs fully orchestrated, that'd be a real treat. Nintendo can... I know people are, like, against re-releases that are, like, entire remakes, I guess. Seems like most people just want to play Virtual Console emulation. But I think in Nintendo, it's been long enough. They can start looking at their Super Nintendo games and really just any of their sprite-based stuff and start reworking it into modern HD games. Whether that means 3D models or like cell animation like Cuphead, I don't know. But either way, I think that it'd be a smart move. Like, for the longest time, I've been saying I would love a cell-animated version of Super Mario World. That would look incredible. Make it look like Miyamoto's old illustrations. I think that'd be wonderful. Would it make sense for them to really devote the kind of resources required to something like that? Probably not. But I think it'd be good. Or like, whatever, the new Super Mario Brothers game, the next one that they release of that. Do that in just a unique art form. I just want to see a unique art form, I guess, with the Mario series. Art style. So, like I said at the start of the stream, this is where the fast text comes in handy. Because you've got a rolling HP counter. And as long as it's still rolling, you're still good to go. Oh man, really? I'm doing horribly. Never really had this kind of problem before with the opening sections of this game. Uniracer for Smash Brothers Ultimate? I guess I can probably move this down. I'd be up for it. I guess that was the first party Nintendo game. Didn't they get into some legal trouble for that one, though? And it only got an initial, like, first run, and they couldn't produce anymore? I can't remember why, though. Oh yeah, it was Pixar. Pixar, like, sued them because the game had similarities to some animation they'd done. And I guess they won the lawsuit. Just kind of bizarre. I guess having unicycles, sentient unicycles, is the most original thing ever. No two people could have thought of that idea. Let me see if I can level up one more time before we try and fight Frank again. Oh my god. This, no, I think this will be fine. Nice. Oh my god. This is getting crazy. At least they seem to be pretty clumsy. They keep on missing. It sounds like people are doing fireworks now. It's too similar to Red from Red's Dream. You know what? I think we can get a better baseball bat. That's probably what my problem is. Ugh. I remember for the longest time people were saying that similarities in this game's music meant that it was never going to get a re-release. And that's why Nintendo was holding off on bringing it to Virtual Console for so long. But I guess that ended up not being a problem. Doesn't make sense to really hold on to money in this game. This is also a game that is definitely best played with a high quality video. Even though I know a common complaint about EarthBound is that it's very simplistic graphically. I've heard some people say that it looks like an NES game, which I think is preposterous. But things get really muddy because some of the details are so small, especially on NES, that if you play with standard AV output, his face looks all messed up and becomes much less charming than it is when you're playing it over HDMI. I love Quillfish's evolution. Is scrapped. What was it called? Mungfish or something? That thing is hilariously stupid. But I love it. I really hope the Game Freak brings back some of those designs in future entries. They deserve it. Especially, like I said in that video, Elect Tiger and Elect Tiger and I can't remember what the other one's called, but bring them both back. Not going good again. Really? Come on, come on, come on. Oh my god. This is nuts. That time it was the my luck that was off. Because I missed twice. Oh. This happens to me every once in a while when I play EarthBound. There'll be like some early boss that I get stuck on. It's usually not Frank. It's when it happens, it's usually the police officers. That part can cause me a lot of trouble, but I guess this time the EarthBound gods decided to become cruel. Oh, I think it's Madame is the name of Farfetch'd Evolution. 100% agree. It's a shame, really. I mean, I think in the end, we're probably better for it that we got the versions of Gold and Silver that we did, because a lot more new stuff came out of those, rather than just kind of adding on to the previous ones. But I have such like a love for that first generation of Pokemon games. Like it's the only one that I'm super nostalgic for. That the fact that the beta Gen 2 is so heavily based on that, it's just kind of special. I guess we'll fight these guys now. Almost an hour in. I kind of wanted to be at Giant Step by this point. Hopefully this time we actually beat Frank, and then we might be able to make it. Alright. I have a good feeling this time. I think it's gonna work. Oh my god. The enemy count is crazy for some reason. I wonder if it's copy protection, maybe, for some reason. Because I think EarthBound probably has one of the most notorious examples of copy protection, where the game is just harder if you are playing on a pirated copy. And I'm not, but I am playing it on a clone system with the Super NT, so I don't know. There we go. Bailey's been wanting that forever. Another Pokemon Coliseum game. I think that's one of her, like, what, top 5, would you say? #1 most wanted game. I never played XD or Coliseum all that much, but I remember watching my brother Tom play it a ton, and so those games too are ones that I'm kind of nostalgic for. Yeah, that was much easier than Frank was. Hooray! Book it over to Giant Step. just like stuff like this is so representative of the EarthBound experience as a whole. You beat up this gangster guy who's kind of really unrelated to you for all intents and purposes. And then he's like, okay, let me tell you about this magical foot. And you go to the magical foot and there's power there. It's like, alright. Works for me. Sure we have inventory space. Yeah, oh, that's something about that Pokemon Coliseum. By the way, I need to. Oh, there we go. I looked up the people behind it. I think they're called Genius Sorority or Sonority, something like that. That's the developer who made those games. And those were like their first 2 titles. And after that, they really didn't do much. They did Pokemon Trozy, which I don't think... It's a fine game, but I don't think too many people are all that into it. And then they did some garbage games, and then a sequel to Pokemon Trozy, and that's about it. I was actually shocked, considering how much people love Coliseum and XD, and how big those games were for GameCube. That that developer kind of went on to do not much. Thanks for the subscription. I appreciate it. We'll go kill this dog. How close are we to... Oh, we're ways away. Alright. Talk to the clown men. Oh wait, okay. Yeah, the reason I was talking to him is because you could get an item, but I guess you gotta open the thing first. I will kill the dogs, Tom. You can't stop me, and I will continue to. I will do it more now, because you told me not to. You're pushing me more into killing dogs. It looks like there's none in this area. So they're safe for now. Is there an item in here? I guess not. For some reason I thought there was. Whatever. Oh boy. One of the most annoying enemies in the game because they always get criticals on you. Pretty much no matter what. Even though really their criticals are about the same strength as a normal attack from some enemies. I suppose their function is just to demonstrate that, hey, enemies can also get criticals. Antoid, I'm guessing? Yep. These kind of battles can get really out of hand. And later in the game when you go to Happy Village, I remember I got like a string of 20-ish insane cultists just continuing to call for help. I think it actually was so long that I fell asleep. Then finished it the next morning. That was intentional, I was just trying to grind for experience. I don't know why there's so many of these guys. It's actually kind of uncommon. Usually there's some attack slugs. That's what I want to show up, because they're great for experience. These guys are just annoying. I see, Tom, that you don't have any objections with me killing all these mice. You want to explain yourself? Hey Bailey, is there a thing about slugs, like, having psychic ability? Is that a thing? Well, in the game, yeah, they do, but I'm thinking, like, in, like, Japanese culture, or maybe Eastern culture in general. That seems like... Now that I think about it, I feel like I've heard of that somewhere else. Or that's been used in some other piece of media that I've consumed in the past. I don't know. Maybe snails are just psychic in real life. What is this? Banana calico snake. $1,500. Don't do that. It's too expensive for a snake. Oh, what? Really? Is that for a different one? Oh. Some of the sound effects not playing? That's kind of weird. Just because the mice are disgusting, they deserve to die, huh? Typical Tom. These dogs are gross. Ugh. I think it was around the time we met, right? I gave Bailey a ROM of EarthBound because I wanted her to experience it. Little did I know that it was some horrible ROM hack thing that I had started. And like the only thing that I changed at that point was the runaway dogs were just scarier. Like I chopped off one of their legs and gave them like bloodshot red eyes. I don't know what the concept of the ROM hack was going to really be. Maybe just like edgier Earthbound. And that's probably why I gave up on it so early, because I'm like, oh, this is pretty dumb, isn't it? But I didn't know this, and Bailey didn't know the difference. So when she played the official version, was it on Wii U? Or probably on Wii U, she was confused that the dogs had all their legs and didn't have red eyes. That's probably something I should be ashamed of, honestly. Yeah, that's accurate. Hi, 8-Bit Kiwi. Thanks for stopping by. Wow, nice. More slug. Mini slug. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but looks like we're gonna be able to stream Pokemon Diamond, as in the Diamond and Jade Pokemon Diamond, as well as Bootleg Green and Vietnamese Crystal in the nearish future, which will be a lot of fun. I've also got a couple others for Game Boy that we could look at some point. Also, speaking again about the gold and silver beta thing, you've yet to see a reproduction card of it, and I've looked, because if I could play a reproduction card of that on stream, that would be awesome. In a way, it's probably okay. It'd be cooler to play the translation when it gets finished, but still. Kind of surprised more people haven't jumped on that. I'm gonna pull off do a little trick here. Basically, all you do is enter and exit this cave, and every once in a while one of these guys spawns that happened the first try. That's good. Oh, SGDQ starts tomorrow, which is always a really fun event. I guess a lot of people have problems with it. I've heard some of those. I guess they kind of do some shady stuff with the money that they get. Like they act like it goes all straight to charity, but a lot of it is just costs for them to keep on doing it year after year. I don't know all the details, but I do like watching people do speedruns live. That's really cool. So I'll be watching that. I don't know if anyone else will be. Of course, Tom will. I think we're watching it together. But that should be pretty fun, I think. I don't know if they're doing EarthBound, but they're doing Undertale, which is kind of like an EarthBound game, I guess. I haven't played it really myself, so I really can't speak to that, but I know that the creator was like a big EarthBound fan. One year they did an EarthBound speedrun, but I didn't get to watch it. Seemed like it was probably pretty cool, though. There's like some glitch you can do by moving into a wall back and forth at diagonal angles that allow you to like walk through walls and stuff. It's pretty neat. And we're almost to the first boss of the game. That might be a good way to break this up also. Oh, you know what would be another good stream idea? Is I have an SD to SNES flash cart. So there's an EarthBound randomizer out there. And it's a really good one too. It's a lot of fun. Maybe I could do some EarthBound randomizer on actual hardware. It might be fun. Titanic Ant. So let's see how this goes. This is another one where if you're unlucky, things can be not so good. It looks like I'm only doing 2 of these. No. Ah! See, there's that fast text speed coming in handy. Almost full health. Now he has a shield, and I'm still missing. This isn't good at all. Well, broke his shield. Ooh! Hey, look at that! Titinicate. Well done. That's one of the best comments ever. Alright. Well, I guess I'll play a little bit more, and then we'll end it here. But I'm going to be doing an entire playthrough of this over the coming days and weeks. So, if you want to see the rest of the game, or whatever, be sure to stop by for that. Even though this is probably the worst playthrough of this game ever, I don't do any silly voices. Or read the dialogue. Which I guess is a deal breaker for some people. Jeez. It's ridiculous when the game actually starts chugging because there's so many enemies on screen. We have to go save at the very least. I also know this is like a pretty good way to get some experience points, like on the way out, but I don't know, I kind of always find it a little bit boring. Message retracted. Tom, you might as well not retract your messages, okay? It's gonna be archived in the video forever. And I saw it anyway. Kin? What does that mean? You may never know. I guess Mother 3 are like had some very early development on SNES. Might be cool to eventually find out what that was like. Another just bizarre scenario. Is that true, Tom? Have you done a full analysis of dog breeds in EarthBound and come to that conclusion? I think he might be the only other breed, right? Well, no. We got Runaway Dog. We got this guy, who's different. Yeah, Keen's one of a kind, though. Alright, let's find a hotel, save, and then call it quits. Should I start doing like a pitch at the end of these? I don't know. If so, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Mike the Gamer Guy. I do videos on YouTube primarily about obscure, unlicensed bootleg games and other bizarreness. And if you would like to support me, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to help me financially, I have a Patreon, actually, where you can chip in $1 or whatever. I don't care. It's definitely not required, but greatly appreciated. And I think that is all we have for tonight. So thanks for watching and joining me on this late stream, everybody. And I'll see you guys next time.